All right. Hello out there in Zoom land. And you're probably not even on Zoom. You're more like in YouTube. But nonetheless, you are part of our process. And we have been going over a ton of stuff. I know there has been a ton of paperwork. There is information that you're like, I'm going to go blind. You're not going to go blind, I promise you. But I do want to make sure that all of my buyers, people that are working with me within our team, the Live in Sacramento team, are getting everything they need ahead of time, so that when you see this stuff, it is not mind-blowing, it's not scary, it's not overwhelming. So a lot of information, I know, but we're going to jump into this right now. We're going to talk about disclosures today. Disclosures. They are all super important. We're going to go over the most common ones. Now, actually, when you did your contract, there was several disclosures within the contract, and those are also very common, but those ones get attached to the contract up front. So therefore we cover them all in the contract. So you are going to watch a video from Annette. She's my transaction manager, and she's going to talk to you about the process of this and what these are and why they are. But I wanted you to actually see some of them and fully get a good, quick understanding overview. Like I said, all the disclosures are important, but these are the most common. So this is a real estate transfer disclosure statement, also known as a TDS. Notice that says TDS right there. You also see this revised section. That means this was most recently revived in 12/21. CAR is the California Association of Realtors. These are written by the attorneys for the California Association, and they are the documents that we utilize in our standard contracts here in California. So these documents are most likely going to be provided by the seller to you, the buyer. The seller, when they accept an offer, has 7 days to get you out these series of disclosures. And then ultimately, from the time that you get these disclosures, you have 5 days to review them before releasing any kind of contingencies. So we're going to talk through these. This is seller's information. So most of the time, seller's going to fill this out, and we are going to be going through this. We're going to be checking, does it have a range, does it have a microwave, are they live in there, are they not live in there? They're going to fill out roof type and age and fireplace, and they're going to initial in certain places and all of that. I'm not trying to show you where to initial now. I'm not trying to show you what the seller is doing, because this is not a specific contract or specific disclosures to a property, because you're not in the middle of doing this right now. You are looking at these, getting familiar with them, so that by the time we actually do get in the contract and we're moving through this pretty quickly, you're not going to be overwhelmed, right? So are you, the seller, aware of any defects, malfunctions, and all the kind of stuff? They have to answer these. Seller is required by law to give you all the information they can and know about this property. A lot of them will be check boxes and yes, and a little bit of information here and there, but there will also be a huge portion which is yeses and nos. And many of these we like to see as nos, because when there's a no, we go, hey, there's not bad stuff about this or not any changes. When we see the yes, we go, hey, what was the reason for that yes? This one right here, very common one. Features of the property shared in common with adjoining landowners, such as walls, fences, and driveways. Yes, most properties have an adjoining fence. So you would see number 2 and the word fences down here. So like I said, we look for a lot of no's. No's are good. We like no's. It means there's not a lot of information. When we see yeses, that usually is someone doing a remodel, freshly painting. There was something crazy that happened at the property. Maybe there's a noise nuisance. The kid next door plays in a band. Who knows what's going to go on, but these are the yeses and no questions that you're going to be seeing. And like I said, as the buyer, our goal, our side, the buyer side, it's for you guys as buyers to look at this and say, is there any red flags? Is there anything that is a concern of me? And I'm going to go through and I'm going to check certain boxes. I'm going to sign in certain places as the buyer's representative. I'm going to have the listing agent's going to sign in certain places, the seller is going to sign in certain places, and of course you guys as the buyers are going to sign in certain places. So that's the TDS statement. Then there's a seller property questionnaire. It is a lengthy document. You'll see here again, where is it at? And see, and here's the other thing that's kind of crazy. you'll see SPQ revised 6/22. That means it was revised about a year ago because we are March of 23. These get revised at all different times. There are 2 times a year, usually June, July, and December, January-ish, that their usually revisions are done. Some of these don't get revised for many years. Some of them get revised every single year. Our contract, the standard purchase agreement, is changed, adjusted, corrected, and made more palatable, usually and longer, on a regular basis, twice a year. So Seller Property Questionnaire, like I said, same thing here, yeses and nos. There's lots of no's, lots of no's, lots of no's. But if we get a yes, we expect to see a description down here. What is that yes? Why was that yes there? Any alterations to the property? Someone's gonna say, yes, I painted, I put in new flooring, I put in new windows, I put a new roof on. We remodeled the kitchen, remodeled the sinks, the bathrooms, whatever it is. Put a new heater, new HVAC. Those are all things that the client, the seller, is gonna say, here are the things that I did that are different, adjusted, made corrections to, and usually made it better. And sometimes they made it better based on what they want, not always what you want. So it is just, like I said, information, and we're always looking for no's. If we see yeses, we just want to see some description of what happens. This is the Seller Property Questionnaire. And like I said, this one is generic, it's blank, it is not completed. So until that one comes across that says, you're buying 123 Main Street, and here's what your seller, Joe and Mary Smith, had to say, that's when we're going to go over these in detail. I will also make a video for you at the same time. Go over this, look at what I tell you, what's important, less important, and review everything with you. And then Annette will send it out for you guys to sign. So there's that. Agent visual inspection. This is my inspection of the property. As a buyer's representative, I represent you. I'll say, hey, I was out there at the time, Monday morning at 9 a.m. Weather conditions were sunny. Nobody else was present. Or, hey, the seller was there. Or the home inspector was there. Or maybe even you, the buyer, were there. I'm going to fill this out with my visual inspection. I'm going to look at baseboards. I'm going to look at flooring. I'm going to see if there's wear. I'm going to see if there's holes in sheetrock. I'm going to see if there's discoloration of things. I'm going to see if there's chipping and peeling paint, if there's broken items. But I am only doing a visual inspection, and so you're going to see my notes are here. You'll also see that myself and our team always put something in here. If we have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, you will see NA right here for our team, because we want to make sure that every single line has something in it, every single section has something in it. That way we didn't miss something or we didn't overlook something. We know specifically there was nothing to note in that area. Statewide buyer and seller advisory. This is 14 pages of information. It is a whole bunch of information, but the craziest thing is, this is all the same information that is actually in the contract. And in the buyer's inspection advisory, it is just a little bit more detailed. Buyer's rights and duties, you're going to hear about that. Seller's rights and duties, you're going to talk about that. Broker rights and duties, you're going to also understand what those are. Table of contents, it's going to show you all these different things that are listed throughout the property. Investigation of physical conditions, you're going to hear this 3, 4, 5 times from myself, from the listing agent, from our escrow officer, from our title person, from our home inspection, from our escrow company. We are all giving you all this information. Our transaction manager, our lender, we are all giving you bits and pieces of information. This is an opportunity for you to really see this and realize, hey, they're telling me this over and over and over again. Probably kind of a big deal, right? So pets and animals on the property, any septic systems, soil and geological, square footage, lots, and is there any water intrusion, well and water systems, wood destroying pests? I know you're going to hear that, and you've probably seen a video on it. Fire hardening defensible safes, you've already seen a video, or you're going to see a video about that one. Accessory dwelling units, ADUs, that means a secondary unit where grandma and grandpa could live, one of your kids rents it out, whatever it is. Building permit, zoning, buyer's intended use, California Fair Plan, future repairs, replacements, heating and air, conditioning systems, historical designations. That's something that pops up every once in a while. Insurance, title insurance after foreclosure. We're not in that market right now, but still there are foreclosures every once in a while. Land lease, not something we see very often, but it's in here. Marijuana, cannabis, methamphetamine labs. The first two, probably pretty easy going. Methamphetamine lab, we find a property that's on a meth lab, there's major issues. with the dirt, the soil. And I've only been in one property that actually was a meth lab. So it's not very common. Owner's title insurance, we're going to talk about that. Rent and eviction controls, not really any in Sacramento, but in other parts of California there are. Retrofit building requirements, short-term rentals, Airbnb. Believe me, that was not here 3, 4, 5 years ago, and now it is. Any views, swimming pools, any common areas, water shortages and conservation. Thank God we have no more water shortages because we've had amazing rain this last year. 1915 bonds, golf course disclosures. Hey, you know what's on golf course? Golf balls. And when you got someone like myself that's a really, really bad shot and a horrible slice, my golf ball might reach your house sometimes. Neighborhood areas. So we're going to just, like I said, this is a huge amount of information. It is super detailed. It gives you all this information. And our most important thing is for you as our buyer to realize what this is, what you're looking at, what you're reading. And I personally want you to read it ahead of time. I want you to read it before you're in contract and nervous and concerned and excited all at the same time, because I don't want you to glaze over this and be like, oh yeah, we already checked that out, it's all good. I want you to be able to say, hey, listen, I had some questions. I want you to highlight some things. I want you to bring them back to me and ask me questions. Megan's Law Database. I have a young lady, well, not anymore. My daughter is not living at home anymore, but when my daughter was young, when it was just me and her and my son, I needed to know where my Megan's Law Database was. I tell people, if you're a young couple getting started, you don't know who's in your neighborhood. You need to get to know it, understand your neighborhood. Property tax bill, you're going to hear this from me, from your lender, from escrow. It is something that is going to talk about. So read this, take a look at it. Zone maps, signing documents electronically, liquidated damages, mediation, arbitration. That is all in your contract as well. Escrow fronts, home warranty. These, like I said, things we've talked about. Videos you've seen, videos you're about to see. Non-confidential offers, I saw something you see on a regular basis. Community enhancement, private transfer fees. Very rarely do you see this. This is mostly in 55 and over communities. Homeowner associations, CC&Rs, those are going to happen from time to time. Any legal action out there, marketing, internet, everything's on the internet. Once it's on the internet, it stays on the internet. Pays, loans, and liens. When we get to this, if your property has one of these, we are going to talk about this in detail. Rekeying, hey, everybody that buys a property should rekey their house immediately. Solar panel leases, if you got solar panels on it, they might be owned, they might be leased. We're going to find out. We're going to get you some details. I know that was a whole bunch of information. I know I'm moving fast, but this is an overview for you to be able to look at everything that's going on. For your protection, get a home inspection, and it's required for FHA transactions. I highly recommend everybody get a home inspection. Now, I've had people not get them on a brand new house or house is 3, 4, 5 years old. That's up to you, 100%. A lot of warranties do cover certain things. I'm not telling you not to get one. I think everybody should get one because even builders make mistakes. Lead-based paint. If your house was built before 1978, you should verify and find out if this house has lead. Unfortunately, the thing that they do to cover up lead is just paint the house again. Or if you really want to eradicate lead, you got to rip out all the sheetrock, remove it all, and put it in new sheetrock, and then paint it with today's paint. So there's some information on lead-based paint. Carbon monoxide detector. This is something that is been around for a couple of years. I want to say probably 10 or 12. And this is just the basics of what those are. Carbon monoxide. Contingency removal. This is a big one. We're going to talk about it. You're going to see my hand like this. And I'm going to say, as we get closer and closer and closer to the end, we're going to release inspection. We're going to release appraisal. We're going to release the loan. We're going to release something. And as we get that, as my hand opens up one at a time, whatever it looks like, when we start to sign these contingency removals, that means that earnest money deposit is closer to the seller. You will sign at least one, probably 2 of those. And then verification of property. This is the last thing. After we're closed, you get to get your keys that day. And then I show up with this wonderful document and say, hey, does the house look like what we anticipated it looked like? Were the repairs done? We're going to do those final walkthroughs and verifications. I know that's a lot of information. There is a ton of info. There is going to be a link for you guys to download these documents so that you can see them and understand them and really get a good feel for this before we get into contract. Hope this helps. Hope you guys have a good one. Take care. Bye.